All right, I'm going to go over something just real quick, and then I'll let you work for the rest of class. Last class I showed the part of doing the corner pin tracking, setting it up, and then bringing that into After Effects. I want to show the After Effects part as well. I also went back and retracked this. So this was my original track that I had. Originally I tracked just that side. That wasn't giving me the good enough results, so I went back and tracked this, and that gave me better results. That's one of the cool things about the planar tracker, is you can make kind of these like organic shapes and track just those pieces of it. And that area gave me a good track. So if you don't get a good track with this one, then you can play with that. Cool. So I showed last time creating this type of thing so that you have some way to animate the timing setup inside of After Effects. The issue that we would typically have is that when we would bring a piece of footage into After Effects, we need to make sure we're clicking in the right spot and moving to the right spot. So that's the whole point of these guys. Someone asked last time about, should we actually track the finger and move that in? There's no point because the tracking data is locked inside of Nuke. All we're getting out of here is basically a movie that would do that. That would show where these pieces are moving. Okay? So when we get into After Effects, we're just matching up other pieces kind of sliding into position to get that. The way he moves his hand is very similar to how you would you're scrolling up on a page. It's not like the girl where she's kind of moving stuff around. So this one's going to be a lot more similar to that kind of motion, okay? So I have this here. So this is a cracked screen, and this is the fake one. This is another real one. And then as he wipes up, he's cutting his finger along the way. And then this is the real one. There we go. No, that was just a stroke and coloration. So this is just a simple layout I made inside of After Effects to do this kind of thing. The ideal setup here is that if this is something like if I have an app that I'm developing for a company and I want to show off how that app would work, this is a great way to kind of show that off. I can say, here's your app actually on a product and the person's interacting with it, right? Instead of just like, here's a video of it. They can show someone moving it around and how it would function. All right, so just to show you that one swipe, there it is. Okay, so to do that, you go into After Effects just like we did on other stuff, and you just import your sequence. Find my sequence there. Image sequence. iPad screen. Hold on, I gotta figure out what I called it because I have so many different things in here. So I get for trying to be funny with some of these. There it is. iPad placeholder, that's what I called it. Okay. There it is. All right, so I import that piece of footage. Now, before I go and drag this onto a new composition and do what I need to do with that, I should double check my settings. This is set to be 24 frames per second. My original footage, which is there, is also 24 frames per second. So I need to make sure that those two numbers are the same thing as my new piece of footage, okay? So I exported out 24 frames a second. On this piece of footage, it comes in at 30. I need to reset it. If I don't, what will happen is I'll export it out, and it might be timed wrong, and it'll be off by 3 frames or so, and it'll ruin everything. So I'm going to go to Interpret Footage, Main, and say 24. And now it's 24. Okay, so now I can drag this onto my new comp. And now I have basically just an animation of this happening, okay? This is exactly what we exported out of Nuke. This is my stuff. Everything I build from here is going to be the exact same thing that we would do on the current one we're working on. We're just doing animation now. One thing I did that kind of helped me is I went to these shapes here. Eventually I'll have this screen, I'll have stuff on top of the screen. So I want to see these things. So I just kind of went through and figured out where they move. So that one moves here. Oops, I'm going to click off and then draw that. And then I'm going to hit P for position. I'm going to click the position keyframe, go up to where it stops moving, and then drag the position of this upwards. And then just kind of watch it as it goes down and then just adjust it. Notice if you've had me for After Effects, I didn't move the pivot. Some of you in the class haven't had After Effects, so I'm just doing this like the blunt force way, not the clean way. There we go. All right. So now I have basically just this target. I would do that for every single one of these. That way, if I turn this off and I hit play, I can still see that thing going up. I can put that on top of my video and kind of line things up to it. That's all I used it for, okay? I also went in here and kind of shortened each one of these layers so I would know exactly where my footage is coming in. Okay, so I know this is one of my swipes. And when I go to my next swipe, further down, it'll be the exact same thing. That's where it starts. I click off. I go to my circle. I create a circle. I hit P. I hit my keyframe. I click off of everything. And then I move this straight up. Go down here. Maybe adjust it some. There we go. And then I'm going to use the hotkeys Alt left bracket to do the start, Alt right bracket to do the right. Okay, now I have this way to line up where each one of these things is going to happen. It just makes your life easier. And then from here, it's just what do you want it to look like? You can design it in Photoshop, you can design it in Illustrator, wherever you want to design your stuff, design your stuff. This area is where everything is going to end up being, so that's what you want it to be set up as. If you want something that's going to scroll, so you can have a huge document, then make a new document, a new composition, make the height huge. So I went to 1536 pixels is how wide my document is. And then I went to 6200 pixels tall, which is a lot taller than that. Yes, ma'am. Your image, whatever you want for that background. Okay. So here's how tall this is. And then I just make my document as I see fit. If I want to do, have an actual web page that they be scrolling in, or a playlist, or whatever it is, I make it here. As I said in my other one, it's a lot easier just to kind of drop in some stuff. So drop in, here's a shape, and then go to my arrows here, click off, add a couple lines, click off, make these a little bit not gray, make them white. Okay, and then I can duplicate this and move that down. If I hit position, I can get the position and just scoot it down. There we go. I'm going to do it the quick way because that's going to drive me crazy. You can make it in After Effects. Yeah, however you want to make it, you make it. You've had enough classes. You should know enough. You can make it in InDesign even if you wanted to. You just need some image to put in there that you can have move with what he's moving. If you're having him move different things, so let's say you are having him move something up and move something up and then move something down, those items are obviously on different layers, just like you would put anything else. I'm going to add a repeater to this line. In the repeater, I'm going to open up this transform and turn the 0 off here and scroll that down, much easier. And then, too many lines, there we go. It's much easier. All right. And then I'm just going to duplicate this, scoot it down, duplicate that, scoot it down, and so on. On mine, it was a bit fancier, but just lecture quality stuff right now. All right, it's beautiful. So there's my stuff. That's what my comp looks like. I'm going to go back to my placeholder. I'm going to drop in that comp, which I should rename big screen. And this is why I was saying it helps to have other stuff inside here so you can see it. I may not want to have this yellow on there because it's hard to visualize what that looks like. So there's my screen. And then I just go here. That's where it starts. I'm going to go to position on the big screen, click a keyframe, go up to the end of this, and then just move it up. And this doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to line up exactly with his finger. But if you look at it, it should feel like it's still moving with it. Like that dot represents where his finger is. So if it juts too fast right at the end, well, maybe my animation should move fast right at the end too. So I'm going to go here and maybe push this up a little bit further here. Go to the end, push it up a little bit further there. There we go. And maybe even extending this keyframe past this will give me a little bit of overshoot, or apparent overshoot. There we go. And I would do the same thing here. I would go to this point. I would click this diamond to set a key. It's off a little bit. Go to the end and move that up. And that will look like it's pretty good. There's one. There's two. Good. And then when he goes down, same thing. I'm just moving it again downward. Okay. If you're new to After Effects, it's auto key, very similar to Premiere. So if you use Premiere, it's very similar. The diamonds just add new keyframes to it. Then you scooch up, and then you would scoot it, let's say, down. And then you can just move the keyframes wherever you need to move them. If you want something fancier, you can make something fancier. You can add an interface. You can do whatever you want. The one that I did is right here. So I actually have, in the background, I have a, turn that off. I have a little dock bar right there. I have a background image, and then I have this white screen, and on top of the white screen, I have my stuff. And then as this slides up, there it is. Okay. Now once you have this, the same way we wrote out our movie from here to bring into Nuke, same exact process. Send it to the render queue, save it as a TIFF sequence, drop it into your folder, make sure your stuff is staying organized. Then you hit read, find your stuff. It's number 2, I already have it here. And then all we're doing is, this is our placeholder. That just gets disconnected and hangs around up there. And then this just gets connected. Here's my grain. I added grain just like we did on the previous one. There's the corner pin. There's the crop. I already went over those. Here's the merge. I went over that. And then here is the alpha channel for all the other stuff. So one of the things I wanted to do, scoot that over, scoot this over, there we go. This is what it looks like regular. I wanted to do a light wrap around it like this, and the light wrap works good when you have an alpha channel. Here, if I hit A, there's the alpha channel. Sorry, here if I hit A, there's the alpha channel. I don't get anything. So if you remember back to our Game Station one, I basically went through and found where a good alpha channel lies, which is right here. Okay, there's a good alpha channel for this, but I needed to invert it, so I get the opposite. So I just have the screen. I copied the alpha channel into this mix, and then I did a little erode on it, just so you can see what it looks like. There's the erode with a little bit of blur, and then I did the light wrap, which again comes from that Game Station. So you'll see that all these techniques that we use even on those first ones, the second ones, we still use those throughout everything that we're doing. And the purpose of this, when his, not just for the screen, but when his hand comes into position here, I want a little bit of light wrap around his finger. That'll help take the edge off of it being so dark. So watch when his hand comes in. I guess I should look at it. There it is. We actually saw it a second ago. There he goes. So there's his finger right there. You can see there's a little glow happening around his finger. And then when that gets merged in, that's going to look a lot better than just this. It's very subtle, but it's there. Okay, so here it is without and with. I'll zoom in even more so you can see it. Okay, and then I added a glow to the stuff using the alpha channel as the width channel. Same thing we did on the game station. Played with the settings until it looked good. This is not good. That's overblown. I did all this work in Illustrator or After Effects or wherever, and now I can't see it. So you want to make sure that your stuff looks realistic. A slight glow is all you should typically need. Usually having it pretty wide helps too. If it's too narrow and too bright, that's like way too narrow. It looks like just that page is glowing for whatever reason, and we can't have that. So big, subtle, and then playing with the tolerance to hit it on exactly. And then once I'm here, any other finishing techniques I might need, I can add. I have grain. I didn't need a defocus with this one. The iPad's pretty clear, so my image would be pretty clear. So the grain is the only thing I really needed. I added the glow, so that's nice. I would write it out, make it into a movie, take a screenshot after I've organized all this stuff, which is incredibly messy inside here. And if you make a funny one, then you just switch these, right? So there's my funny one, blood all over the screen. There's the non-funny one, and so on, okay? And you might need to adjust it. You might need to go back to your key light and adjust what the green screen does. You might need to go back to the roto or the planar track and redo the planar track. I did it about 4 times before I found the right combination of what is going to work for this. Okay, and sometimes it's just how it is. You just have to do that. And you'll see this is a pretty simple chain right here. None of this stuff is needed any longer. I can basically go right to this. And that's all I really need. Just get away. There we go. Right? Screenshots, all that stuff. For this assignment, it'll be due March 6th, which is a week from today. Exploring the methods of planar tracking within Nuke. That's what we were doing with this one specifically. Using the planar track to isolate the iPad or iPhone, animate the movement of the finger, bring it into After Effects to create the screen animation, obviously bring it back in, do all the finishing touches, and then the same stuff. Movie file, snapshot. Okay, we'll find that that's going to be a very similar thing throughout. Questions on that one? No. All right.